Right guys, got the best card of the year coming up here, UFC Apex 94, Amanda Lemos versus Verna Jandiroba. Just doing some previews and predictions here on the Kiwi MMA channel. Overall, it's a pretty terrible card to be honest. I don't mind the main event, but there's not much else going on. I'll try to keep it nice and quick so that you're not here forever listening to this. So we'll quickly recap last week. Obviously missed on 4 and 1 no contest, which I just took that out of the record because I didn't think that should be added in. Obviously I didn't get it right, and I wouldn't necessarily say I got it wrong, so I think it's fair to just not count that. All time moving up to 55%, which is good. I like that, with 64% last week being particularly strong. Right. So the prelims, I'm going to run through these pretty quick, not too much breakdown. Usman versus Pedersen. I think Usman's going to get it done by knockout or TKO. I think it's going to be ground and pound. I think Usman's going to put a pace on him early, break him down, and then finish him on the ground with ground and pound strikes. Just overall, I think he's a more physical fighter, better physical fighter. Pedersen's not in as good a shape as Muhammad Usman, and I think that's going to pay dividends as the fight goes later. If it goes later, because Usman could crack him. But anyway, Luana Carolina versus Lucy Pudilova. I've got Carolina by decision. Not much to say there. Don't have much to say. That's just my pick. Close fight, by the way. Trey Ogden, Loic Razabov. Ogden by decision. I think Ogden is better than him, to be honest. He's an underdog here, but I think he's going to be able to get it done. Morena Maverick versus Diana Barboza. I think Morena Maverick's going to win. Main reasoning behind this is that Maverick's been on the outside of the rankings for a while. Diana Barboza, this must be one of her first fights in the UFC. Haven't really heard of her. Maverick's the favourite. Got to go Maverick by decision in this spot. Cody Gibson against Brian Kelleher. I think Cody Gibson gets it done by decision. I think Kelleher's had quite a rough run lately. Come up against some tough opposition. I think Cody Gibson's going to be better. He's quite a bit bigger, I think. I think he's like 5'10". Kelleher's like 5'7", 5'8". Had a good fight with Brad Katona, did Cody Gibson. I think Katona's decent. I think he's quite underrated, to be honest. Cody Gibson by decision. Zhongyong Lee versus Haider Emil. Zhongyong Lee by decision is my pick once again. Don't know a lot about Haider Emil. I've heard about Zhongyong Lee a couple of times, so I'm just going to go with him. Pretty average prelims. There's a couple of recognisable names in there, but it's pretty weak overall. Okay, moving on to the main card now, or at least what the UFC website currently has listed as a 6-fight main card. Duhui Choi versus Bill Algeo. Choi has not been subbed, but Algeo has like 6 or 7 wins by sub. Algeo is quite a large featherweight. 6 foot 73 inch. Reach is more of a sort of lightweight to welterweight frame, to be honest. So I think if he can get Duhui Choi down to the mat, he's going to tie him up and he's going to sub him in round 3. If I'm going to get specific, I'm going to say rear naked choked. I think he's going to take the back. I just think Duhui Choi's had a rough run lately with, what do you call it? In the last 4, he's got 3 wins and a draw. Granted that I'm pretty sure Algeo's recent loss was to Carl Nelson, and Duhui Choi drew to him. I still think Algeo wins this. That's just my take. Cody Durden versus Bruno Silva. So if you take the Tagir Ulanbekov and JB Wise wins out of it, I think the recent record of Jake Hadley, Charles Johnson, and Carlos Mota. I think those wins are more impressive and better than what Bruno Silva's got to offer. Also has a bit of a size advantage, not too significant, but it's there. I think I'm going to go Durden by decision. I think the decision is likely, although Silva has been finished in his 5 losses twice, once by sub, once by knockout. I think they were both pre-UFC though. So yeah, I'm Durden by decision. I think it's going to be a pretty standard fight. 14th ranked Cody Durden taking on the unranked Bruno Silva. Next fight, Kurt Holobar versus Khrushchevsky. I think this is like probably my most anticipated fight outside of the main event for this card. I don't know. I just like something about Kurt Holobar I quite like. He's scrappy. Lost against Trey Ogden last time out, but he got the win against Austin Hubbard in the tough finale. Khrushchevsky, I think he lost. Yeah, he lost to Elvis Brenner. That was a KO. I think that was his debut off the Contender Series, and then that Dylan fight is his Contender Series fight that got him into the UFC. I mean, I don't mean to be vain, but if you purely look at the two builds that you can see on the screen there, Kurt Holobar looks in good shape, and then you look at Khrushchevsky and he looks overweight, to be honest, or at least overweight for an MMA fighter. So yeah, I think Kurt's old, man, but I think Kurt Holobar's going to get a knockout in round one. I think he's going to break him. I think if you can get in his face like he does, Khrushchevsky has obviously got knocked out last time by Brenner. Sorry. Yeah, so he can get knocked out, and I think he's going to here again. I think I like Kurt Holobar. He's fun. He's a fun character as well. Right, Steve Garcia versus Sung Woo Choi. Choi hasn't had a great run of results lately, obviously picking up that win last time out, but before that losing to Trizano, Kulabau and Caceres. Obviously by no means terrible losses, but Garcia's wins against Malik Wazul Costa, Noonan Becky, and Chase Hooper. I mean, that Chase Hooper one's aging very nicely. Similar frames, both quite big featherweights. Yeah, I think we're going to see a continuation here of the good form shown by Steve Garcia. I think he's going to get a knockout in round one. I think it's going to be a statement. Well, not a statement necessarily in terms of the opponent, but I think it's going to be a statement one in terms of just getting him out there nice and early, getting Choi out there nice and early. That would be similar age, but I think the recent wins have taken it out of Sung Woo Choi, and I think we will see Steve Garcia win here. Co-main event. Again, fight, decently interesting. The Iron Turtle, Jun Young Park, up against the unfinishable until he fought Gregory Rodriguez, Brad Tavares. Obviously, Tavares got the loss to Gregory Rodriguez last time out, as I mentioned. Win against against Chris Weidman. Which was impressive, but not the best performance in the world, and then losing to Bruno Silva and Dricus before that, and then Amari Akhmedov getting a dub, and then obviously Jun Young Park was on a pretty good run until he hit Andre Muniz, which is no slouch to lose to there. Jun Young Park is a wee bit younger, which surprises me, to be honest. He looks like an old man, but he's actually fairly young. Both unranked, obviously. Jun Young Park's wins against Duraev and Tallulah, Holmes and Anders, like they're solid wins. It's good to string four of those back to back. Individually, they're not the greatest wins, but yeah, I think Tavares coming off that first knockout loss of his career, previously being hailed as pretty much unfinishable, and that's going to knock his confidence. And I think we're going to see a different fighter out there. I would consider maybe a late finish, but my official pick is going to be Jun Young Park, the Iron Turtle, by decision. Yeah, as I say, Tavares, I don't think he'll get finished here. Yeah, I'm going to go decision. Yeah, cool. And moving on to the main event, Amanda Lemos versus Virna Jandiroba. I say this often, but I've gone back and forth on this one this week. Obviously, they're fairly similar size. I don't think there's anything really to mention there. Jandiroba getting that good win against Lupi last time out, and then previously to that getting the wins over Marina Rodriguez and Angela Hill after the loss to Rebus, and then Lemos bouncing back with her win against Mackenzie Dern on the Volk Poirier card, Depression Central. That was the comeback after losing to Zhang Weili in the title fight. Yeah, This is a tough one. Obviously, Lemos has got that great equalizer of the power. Werner's got the suffocating grappling style. It pretty much comes down to, for me, what's Lemos' path to victory? Okay, yeah, she could probably beat her by decision, by outstriking her, but I think if she's outstriking her, she's probably finishing her. Finishing Werner, this is. And Werner, how's she going to win? I think she's far more likely to win by decision with just like a wrestling heavy display or a control heavy display. Or she could sub her. And then I look beyond that and say, well, has Jandiroba been knocked out? No, she hasn't. She's fought decent strikers. No one as powerful as Lemos, definitely, but she's fought decent strikers. And then I jump to the other side and say, well, has Lemos been subbed? And, well, yes, she has. Reasonably recently, by Jessica Andrade, by that standing guillotine. Which just shows kind of a lack of grappling IQ, I guess. And then in the Zhang Weili fight, she was dominated quite consistently on the ground by Zhang. So, as I say, back and forth, I think my official pick is going to be Jandiroba by submission in round 4. I think Jandiroba's got better submission finishing skills than Zhang Weili, and I think if Lemos looks anything like she did towards the end of that Zhang Weili fight, she is going to get subbed by Werner Jandiroba. Wouldn't be surprised to see it go to the cards, but the more I think about it, and even just speaking here now, just the more I reason with things, I think Werner's got this one in the bag. She's sort of more on an upward trajectory as well. Lemos is kind of hovering, and I think Werner's going to take her spot. Putting herself honestly in position for probably the next title shot after, I guess. We're probably going to see Tatiana Suarez versus Zhang Weili. But yeah, Werner's there, and she could be back up. She could jump in there if something happens to Suarez, which is possible. But yeah, Werner Jandiroba is my pick there. Overall, yeah, I mean, the more I talk about it, the more I don't want to touch the prelims, to be honest. Don't want to go near them. The main card's got a couple of good fights. I might tune in for like the Kurt Holloway fight and then the last 2 fights. But yeah, pretty average card overall. If, as I say, sometimes you've got nothing to do, tune in. There'll be fights going on, but definitely don't go cancelling any plans to tune in, because I think it might be a long one. I think there could be a few decisions, even though I did predict a few finishes. I think it is possible to be quite a decision heavy card. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Sorry, probably ran a little bit longer than I wanted to it, but that's alright. Yeah, cheers.